he sends me this text message. He goes, dude, check this out. And it's you. And I remember looking at it and going, oh, what happened? What happened?
Hey, let's talk about that too. Brother-in-law said, hey, Mike, man, I know you're not going to win, but somebody said, would you fight this guy for like 40 million or 30 million?
You rip into the body and throwing those hooks. I was like, this is a man who's preparing to go to combat.
That was 30 seconds.
Wow. Have you seen the latest drama involving Joe Rogan, Mike Tyson, and Jake Paul? It's been all over social media and sports news. Rumor has it that Jake Paul, the YouTube sensation turned boxer, got knocked out in a sparring session, and Joe Rogan and Mike Tyson had a field day roasting him. Let me break it down for you. It's both hilarious and intriguing. Now, Jake Paul getting knocked out in sparring isn't just a minor mishap. It's a big deal, especially because he's been so vocal about being the next big thing in boxing.
With Jake?
Yeah.
Yeah, we do now. But it's not always been like that.
It's always been, yeah, I can imagine.
This is my brother.
It's good.
Yeah, it's good.
It's good.
Him or Tyson, who you got?
Yeah, right?
Who you got?
When is that gonna be?
November. It got rescheduled.
Well, look, Mike was fantastic, but, you know, Mike's a little older now.
Yeah.
And you guys can fight.
Yeah.
We'll talk about that, but you guys can really fight, legitimately fight.
Thank you, sir.
At first I said, it's so amazing, because I always thought like a UFC guy or a top, even contender would be able to win at 75 years old.
You think?
But it doesn't work that way.
Yeah.
The clock is still the clock.
Yeah. If they don't drug test him, they don't test him for hormones. Things are way different.
What do you mean?
Because if he takes hormones, if he's taking testosterone and growth hormone, thyroid hormone, all the things that people do when they take hormone replacement therapy, your body functions way better at a way later age. It's different.
Right.
It's very different. So if we're talking about like being a 53-year-old man in 1985, there's no chance.
Right.
Everybody fell apart. Like you'd have to like be a really, really, really rare person who doesn't take hormones and can perform like a 30-year-old when you're in your 50s. But when you're on hormones, you can kind of do it.
He's seen it all and has this way of breaking down fights that makes you feel like you're right there in the ring. Mike Tyson, on the other hand, is a boxing legend. He's been through the highest highs and the lowest lows in the sport. And when he speaks, people listen.
Speaking of that stuff that happened in Miami, it is, and the talk has died down some, but at the time, people badly wanted you and Jake Paul to fight. Is he someone you're interested in or no?
Well, if you go back, you got to do your homework, look on the internet. I think he was doing a sit down on a podcast one time, and he talked about it. He said, I don't want to do an exhibition against Floyd Mayweather.
Yeah.
He said, I'm only doing real fights. And of course, I can't get up high in weight, but I'll fight him in a real fight at the weight that I'm at. But Jake Paul, I mean, as of right now, for what he's doing, it's good for what he's doing. But once he fights a real fighter, it's going to be bad.
Are you impressed? Does he have boxing ability, or is he just an entertainer who has a lot of fans and can promote a fight and has fought lesser opponents, or is he actually talented?
As long as he continues to fight MMA guys and YouTubers, he's going to continue to look good and shine. But once he fights a real fighter, a real fighter that can really fight, it's not going to be that good.
Does he have the ability, with what you've seen, to continue to mold himself into somebody who can actually? He told me before his goal is to fight Canelo, so that's where his mindset's at.
He'd get by Canelo. There's no way he'd get demolished. But for what he's doing, as long as they keep getting YouTubers and keep putting them in there with MMA guys, that's kind of over the hill, he's gonna continue to shine.
There's certain people that are just crazy, man.
Well, speaking of Mike Tyson, these people that think that he don't stand a chance against Jake Paul, like this shouldn't even because he's too old. I was like, I think you're crazy.
Well, they're definitely uninformed.
Yeah.
Because here's the thing: he is 57 years old. He will be 58 when they fight. He has had a long fighting career. He has been knocked out by massive men like Lennox Lewis and Evander Holyfield. He's had a lot of blows, and it's long past the time where most people ever fight. The only person that ever fought competitively after age 50 is Bernard Hopkins and Archie Moore. Archie Moore did it back in the day.
Foreman was 40 something.
Foreman was in his 50s, I believe, when he had his last fight. Was he? He won the title. I think Foreman captured the heavyweight title at the oldest age, which was 46 when he fought Michael Moore. He hit him with this perfect right hand. It was crazy. That's okay. That's that bodega cat. That's Mark Norman stuff. So how old was he? 48. Crazy. And he knocked out Michael Moore. He was 45. So he was the oldest man ever to win the heavyweight title at age 45. And you got to realize, like, that's a real 45. That's not like a 45 today. The 45 today is 45 with testosterone replacement and human growth hormone and peptides.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Mike Tyson, yeah, he's 57, but he got access to
everything. And he's also doing this very unique kind of training with electrical muscular stimulation that I've talked to some people that do that. And it has massive benefits of rehabilitating injuries.
So, after the news of Jake Paul's knockout in Sparring broke, Joe Rogan and Mike Tyson had a lot to say. On his podcast, Joe Rogan didn't hold back. He probably started by analyzing the sparring session, talking about what Jake did wrong and why he got knocked out. Rogan is known for his detailed commentary, and you can imagine him getting into the nitty-gritty of Jake's technique, or lack thereof. Joe's got this way of making everything sound dramatic and intense. He might have painted a vivid picture of Jake stepping into the ring, maybe a little too cocky, and then bam. He gets caught with a punch he didn't see coming. Rogan likely emphasized how sparring is different from real fights because it's about learning and improving, not necessarily winning. But getting knocked out? That's a serious wake-up call. Then Mike Tyson joined in. Tyson's got this no-nonsense attitude. He's been the youngest heavyweight champion and knows the sport inside out. He probably said something like, "Jake's got some talent, but he's still a novice in this game." Tyson's words carry weight because he's been there. He knows what it's like to train hard, to get knocked down, and to get back up. For him, seeing someone like Jake Paul, who's relatively new to boxing, get knocked out in sparring is a reminder that boxing isn't a game. It's a brutal, unforgiving sport. The two of them, Rogan and Tyson, probably had a good laugh about some of Jake's antics too. Jake is known for his bravado, always talking a big game. They might have found it amusing that despite all his talk, he's still got a lot to learn.
A number of people say when they talk about this fight, they say if Mike Tyson doesn't get Jake Paul early and get him out of there early, there's no way he can go all 8 rounds and win this fight. What do you say to that?
Okay, whatever. It's hard to even really be. He's not going to win. Look at, he can't even knock out Nick Diaz. Nick Diaz is 40 pounds. How's he going to knock me out? What's the other guy? Anderson Silva. He didn't get knocked those little guys. How's he going to knock me out?
Majority of your fights, we've certainly seen the power on display.
Who did he knock out? Who did he knock out? Little children. He didn't never knocked out a real man. Come on.
He's questioning your power, Jake. He's saying you haven't knocked out a legitimate fighter of his ilk.
He didn't knock out Tommy Fury.
Your response to that, Jake?
Hey, look, he's right. I can't stand here and say I did those things, but what I promise to the people is on July 20th, Mike will be put to sleep and he will feel my power, and I will go down as the man who put Tyson to sleep for the last time.
Rogan could have pointed out how Jake's overconfidence can be his biggest weakness. Meanwhile, Tyson, with his old school wisdom, might have talked about the importance of humility and respect in the sport. This whole scenario is fascinating because it brings together 3 very different personalities. Joe Rogan is like the wise sage who knows everything about fighting. He's seen countless fighters rise and fall and can break down a fight in the most engaging way. Mike Tyson is the veteran, the guy who's been at the top and has the scars to prove it. And then there's Jake Paul, the young upstart trying to make a name for himself. Jake Paul's fans might be upset seeing him get roasted by these legends, but it's all part of the game. Every fighter, no matter how good, has their off days. Getting knocked out in sparring isn't the end of the world. In fact, it might be just what Jake needs to get serious about his training.
I think it's a sign that you have somebody. How old is Mike Tyson?
He's 57, turning 58. By the time the fight was going to happen, he'd be 58.
He's 58 years old. I don't know his, I don't know what his health history is, I guess you could say. And I think the biggest thing is you have someone who's 58 years old trying to push his body to the absolute limit, moving, and I don't know if he's sparring or anything like that. And I love Jake Paul. I just think I would like to see Jake Paul fight. There's so many fucking boxers out there that he can fight and pad his record with. And I understand Mike Tyson is a big name and Netflix wants to do it, but I don't think they should revisit it. I think there's plenty of guys out there that, Jake Paul can fight, and KSI is one of them. He could fight T. Wood again. He could fight Mike Perry, Platinum. He could fight Jorge Masvidal. There's so many guys. He could fight He could fight Anthony Pettis. There's so many guys who are younger than Mike Tyson and a little bit older than him that he can beat that have a big name. But I just think him fighting Mike Tyson, the guy, he's 58. Like, I don't want to see Mike Tyson get hurt. Like, and what for what, right? I mean, that's just my personal opinion, and it's nothing against Jake Paul or Mike Tyson. It's like, there's no reason why him fighting a 58-year-old. Like, I'm sure we could find something. I'm sure Eddie Hearn could find something for Jake Paul to fight. Like, this is like the stupidest fucking thing that's happening right now. It's like, you tell me there's literally nobody out there that can fight Jake Paul that's his age, that has 8-0 as a boxer.
Sparring is supposed to be a training exercise, a way to practice without going all out. But sometimes things get heated, and, well, Jake found himself on the receiving end of a knockout punch. This is where Joe Rogan and Mike Tyson come in. These two are legends in their own right. Joe Rogan, with his massive podcast and deep knowledge of MMA, is like the guru of fight commentary. Maybe this experience will humble him a bit and make him work even harder. From a broader perspective, this whole incident is a reminder of how unpredictable and exciting the world of combat sports can be. You've got this mix of personalities, each bringing something unique to the table. It's these interactions that keep fans engaged and eager for more. Whether you love Jake Paul or can't stand him, you've got to admit, he's always in the spotlight. And having Joe Rogan and Mike Tyson clown him only adds to the spectacle. Let's also consider what this means for Jake's future in boxing. He's got potential, no doubt about it. He's shown that he can win fights, but he's also shown that he's still got a lot to learn. Getting knocked out in sparring is a setback, but it's also an opportunity. If Jake can take this experience, learn from it, and come back stronger, it could be a turning point in his career. On the other hand, if he lets it get to his head, it could be the beginning of the end. For Joe Rogan and Mike Tyson, this is just another day in the world of fighting. They've seen fighters rise and fall, and they know that one knockout, whether in sparring or a real fight, doesn't define a career. They might clown Jake for now, but they also understand the ups and downs of the sport. They've both been through their own struggles and have come out stronger on the other side. In the end, this whole episode is a mix of humor, drama, and a bit of tough love. It's a reminder that the road to becoming a great fighter is filled with challenges and setbacks. And sometimes, getting clowned by legends like Joe Rogan and Mike Tyson is just part of the journey. Whether Jake Paul will take this in stride and use it to improve or let it derail his progress remains to be seen. But one thing's for sure, it's going to be entertaining to watch. So what do you think about all this? Do you see Joe Rogan and Mike Tyson's comments as harsh criticism or valuable advice? And do you think Jake Paul has what it takes to bounce back and prove himself as a serious contender in the boxing world? Whatever your thoughts, it's moments like these that keep the world of combat sports so captivating. Let's grab some popcorn and see what happens next.